Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, very well. Very well indeed. Had an eventful week, come to think of it.
Yeah? How so?
Obviously, I had 3 days doing the mountain leader training.
Yep.
Got my ass kicked. Do you know when you're like blissfully naive about what something's going to take?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Kind of like starting a business. And then you realize once you start, holy crap, I was way off with my expectation. Well, that was me over the weekend. I mean, it was great. I was able to make some quick adjustments and really raise my standard quickly in some things. Others, it's going to take a little bit longer. But then obviously we were getting a house, as you know, and I think some of the listeners, depending on how long they've listened to the show, we've spoken about that before.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, I went into the mountains on Friday. So on Thursday, everything took a U-turn. We started looking at somewhere on a little island off North Wales that we absolutely love. And then we drove down there yesterday to go view the place. And it turns out we're going to live there for a year.
That's awesome. Place looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to visiting.
Yep. Do you know what? I Googled paddleboarding near there. And I didn't know this, but Snowdonia National Park, which is the mountain region that's like 30 minutes away, it's got an award or an accolade, whatever it is. It's recognized as the Night Sky Reserve. And there's only 11 of these in the world. And that is the quality of the night sky, how clear it is and bright it is and all the rest of it. And one of the paddleboarding trips you can do, and I can't paddleboard yet, right? But one of the paddleboarding trips you can do is in Snowdonia at night under that sky doing like this tour.
I'm in, like, man.
Yeah. So when you come, we'll definitely go do that. But I'm like, oh my God. Yes. Please.
Paddleboarding's easy. You'll love it. It's easy, especially if you're doing a lake or ocean. Well, lake, obviously, in this case.
Yeah, I'll do both.
Yeah, ocean will be fun. I'll go out with you in the ocean because I want to watch. In Santa Barbara, we joined a gym, or it was a membership, I guess, more than a gym. But my wife and I, where you would just go and they had, the beach. We just rent you get a membership and you just grab a paddleboard and you roll out, right? And you just roll out in the ocean for a half hour, an hour paddle in the middle of the day, between like a lunch paddle. People will be out there doing yoga, but it's kind of fun to watch people as the waves roll in, right? Because dolphins will be under you sometimes and people will freak out with the dolphins or the waves or the kelp and they'll,
wow.
It's fun to watch them bail off.
Yeah, I bet. I'm super looking forward to it. The lifestyle that we're going to have the option of living there is just awesome. The hot tub on the decking overlooking the ocean. That's going to be so cool.
That is going to be cool. Yeah, it looks awesome, man. Well, today, Tim, I want to talk about something I saw. You're talking about doing things differently, which brings me to something I saw today, and I threw it up on social media because why the heck not, right? But it was a picture, and it was some kind of retail store. I don't know if it was a grocery store, a general store, or what have you. But as you walk into the store, there are two baskets. The handheld baskets you get to carry around as you're shopping. I think they're universal around the world. And one was black and one was red. And they're in two different stacks right next to each other. And the black one says, take this basket if you'd want to be left alone and you don't need any help. And the red baskets had a sign that said, take this basket if you'd like assistance while you're shopping. And I thought this was such a fundamentally easy thing, yet I'd never seen it before. Because one of my pet peeves, and I'm sure I'm not alone, right? Guys in general, is if I'm going to go shopping, I'm going there to get what I want. I want to be left alone. If I want to quote browse or compare things, I don't want anybody's help, right? I want to do this on my own until I go find somebody if I have a specific question. And, I get put off if I'm going shopping and there's sales clerks and customer service and, constantly going, hey, do you need help, sir? Do you need help with that? Do you want any help? I get it's their job and I respect it. So that's different. But my desire is not to have that. My guess is you'd be grabbing the other basket. Like you're a red basket guy, would be my guess right off the bat, going through there.
I just want to walk in and be like, right, where's this? Where's that? Where? If I don't know where stuff is, then I'm definitely not going to wander the aisles looking for it.
Sure.
I'm just going to ask somebody immediately, where's this?
Yep. And I think that's fair. But the point of this whole thing isn't my preference not to be bothered when I'm shopping. I like my alone time. But the idea of how this seems so simple, yet so obvious in business, right? They identified a need or a desire, right? There's people like me that just want to be friggin' left alone when I'm shopping. And there's other people that want help. And how do you differentiate them to them? Back when I was in, high school, right? I worked retail and you're constantly asking people if they need help. That's just what you do, right? And you're basically chasing people around trying to find someone to friggin' help. And that's annoying, right, to everybody. And then when you find somebody that's great, what a great way also to speed up your efficiency of your business. Now your staff knows red basket needs help. Boom, that's it. Black basket, leave it alone. So you've increased the efficiency of your staff. You've increased the likelihood of more customers coming to your store. Why? Because now you got guys like me who don't want to be bothered, right? So I'll just shop online. But if I knew there was a store where I could just go and wouldn't be bothered, right? I sound like a complete jerk, right? But I'm talking to people all day. I just want to go and be left alone. Now I'll go to this store and I'll go to the store regularly. The second person who just needs help or wants the social, or like you, just wants to be able to go in, where's this, where's that, right? They're likely to come to this store with the competitors as well. And it's this simple shift in customer service, or what I'll say is not customer service, but in delivery of service. This simple shift is big, right? There's 3 different factors you can increase your business right here, right? Efficiency, also gaining new customers that you probably wouldn't have gained. And you're not going to lose anybody. No one's offended. Well, in this day and age, they might be, but most people aren't going to be offended by the red or black baskets. And so I found it really interesting when we look at the movement and how we help men and the businesses that you and I consult, right? Within the powerful man and outside the powerful man. What are those subtle shifts that nobody else is thinking of? They're really obvious after you see them, right? How do we find those shifts beforehand?
Well, I think one of the things, like you've realized here, is a lot of the innovation comes from other industries, doesn't it? Spending time in other industries and bringing that innovation then into your industry, seeing how they do things differently. And being aware of it as well. I think part of it is, it all starts with the mindset, right? You've got to have 100%. The mindset where you are looking for it. And, we've spoken before about Thinking Time as well. A great book by Keith Cunningham, The Road Less Stupid. Has some awesome questions in there. You could spend decades going through that book. Literally, if you give each question the time that it actually would require to go through them. Point I'm making with this is, having the mindset and also having the time and the space to reflect and look at how things apply from other industries or even other competitors, right? Is going to be paramount to this. Otherwise, it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness in the day-to-day, right? And before you know it, 10 years has passed, and you've experienced some growth and success, but really your life has become about your business, and your business doesn't serve your life. It's not fulfilling. If you could, you'd get out of it and do something else, but you become trapped. It's kind of like a high-paying job. For some guys, they don't pay themselves enough to even have somebody else come in and do that role for them if they wanted to. And again, there's other facets that go into that, but certainly mindset. So one of the things that we'll be introducing to our Facebook group, similar kind of thing, is, do you want one of our advisors to reach out to you and find a training for you upon entry, right? If people say yes, and that isn't the exact verbiage, but if people say yes, then one of the advisors will reach out and find out a little bit more about what they're struggling with, what they want help with, and find a podcast for them or a training for them or whatever it is. People that say no, we'll leave them alone. We won't contact them. But similar thing.
Yeah, I like that. And it's my first time hearing about it, which is cool. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all. It's just we move so quickly for the movement for the guys. But when I look at this and I look at this red black basket, first of all, if I own management in a retail location, I'm making this change immediately, right? It's just a great idea, like you said. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing proprietary about this idea. But what I love about this is that it's the process, right? You said mindset, the thought process that goes along with identifying a niche almost within the business, a want or a desire that does not distract or disrupt my current business, right? So red, black baskets, again, no one's going to say, I'm not going to that place because they have red and black baskets, right? They're going or they're not. But now you're able to attract more people, right? With that subtle change, right? And not a very costly change, I would imagine. Obviously, you have to buy new baskets. You got to get a board, et cetera, to put the signs up. Not a big investment, in my opinion. And again, back to the efficiencies, right? The efficiencies in the staff and the staff's ability to help people, get them in, get them out, have them buying more things, ability to upsell them, right? My thing, what I did in high school was I was a sales leader in the company that I was working for. So I was always, upselling people, right? That's kind of the way you do it, right? Oh, you want this, but really you want these things go together and here's how they all work, right? So now you have that efficiency. So when you look at retail or any service, right? What's your ticket price? How do you add on the average ticket price to it? So what I started thinking about, Tim, and I just posted this before we got on, so I had as we usually do, I had no outcome for this conversation. But where else can you find something like this, right? In other words, where can you find a micro shift? Something that a complaint is an easy way of doing that. So that's kind of the answer to the test. Where do you find the complaint and a small shift that you can make? And can you make this not only in your business, right? Because that's the easy, obvious place to look. And I think everybody listening to this, it's either a business leader or involved in business at a high level, should be doing this. Take some time, step aside and look at this basket. Go to my social media account on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, and you'll see the picture. And then post this and think about where you can do this in your business. But I'll also ask you, where can you make this subtle shift in your relationships, right? Relationships with staff, relationships with your spouse, relationships with your kids, friends, right? These subtle changes that you can make. Where can you also make these subtle changes in your health, right? To make your health a little bit easier, right? Here we are in where I am. We're in lockdown still. We're coming out of a lockdown and they're having another type of lockdown or restrictions. And the place I go work out, what they're doing is making a 2,000 square foot outdoor training facility. Mm-hmm. And the owner sent a message to myself and a bunch of other members and said, "Hey, look, we were supposed to open today, but we're not going to open till Friday because we have to, we're building the center and there's a lot of equipment to move, et cetera, et cetera." And I just replied to him and said, "Hey, look, we pay you to pick up and put down heavy things. Why don't you just have your team, your clients come in and offer to help? Simple as that." Right. And this is what I did when I owned a fitness facility. My clients came, they showed up and it was kind of a joke, but everybody's like, "Hey, we pay you top dollar to have us exercise and move things. The only difference is the shape, right? Now we'll just move it from one facility to another." But it's those little minor tweaks that we can do in our thinking, right? In our thought process, because if this guy has his staff, well, let's just describe this to me. What occurred for me when I moved my gym to another location in Santa Barbara, the people that showed up to help me move stuff, and that was a joke, they also became more ingrained into my community, right? They were more involved. They had ownership within the success of me personally and the success of the facility. And I would say same thing to this gym owner, right? That's another tweak, right? It's a basket change more than anything. And then where else can you do this in your soul, right? The area of your soul and yourself, right? Where can you do that? Or your wealth? Where can these minor tweaks be made to go through it? So I think it's a really interesting thought process. And I certainly haven't quantified how to run this through and make it super easy for those guys listening right now, other than grab a journal and a pen and look at that picture and look at your life and look at the nuances. And complaints, I think, are a really easy way to start making those things and looking what those micro complaints are. Like Doug saying, friggin' hate going shopping because I don't want to be bothered and it's just a pain in the butt, right? Black basket. Don't bother me. Simple as that.
Yeah. And I wonder whether, as you go through this process of reflection, something that serves us well, right, is looking at the symptom versus root cause as well.
Sure.
So I think it's very easy to, as business owners anyway, when we feel like we may not have a great deal of time to see a complaint or a problem, and then we want to solve it. So that's what we do. We want to fix the problem. Boom. Yes, I can relax. That problem's solved. Right, next one. But sometimes, the problems don't go away because, guys are solving the wrong problem as well. So I think as you look at the complaints as well, and you take this time to reflect, be in any area, because even if it's in your relationships, right? Your wife, for example, may be complaining about, I don't know, the fact that you've not taken the bins out, right? But in actual
trash
fact,
for you Americans.
Trash. But in actual fact, is the complaint really about the trash, or the fact that for the past 7 days you've been working late and you've come home and you've been on your phone and you've been short-tempered and not engaged, and she feels disconnected from you? If all you do is then focus on taking the trash out and think you're doing the right thing. But so anyway, they go hand in hand, right? Because you can apply this same level of thinking with the complaints and looking at ways to ease it, and the journaling time across the board, for sure.
Yeah, I'll take that maybe a slightly different route here. And very slightly is using that same idea or same methodology and talking about, okay, let's go back to the baskets, right? The red and black baskets. They weren't trying to solve a Doug Holt problem, right? They weren't trying to solve, I don't think, the guy who doesn't want to be talked to. My guess is that came up with, how do we know which staff or which customers need help and which ones don't, right? That would be my guess. And then they said, well, if we give them red baskets, and then probably somebody else in the boardroom said, well, what about flags they can grab, or, all kinds of things. So other ways of looking at this potentially are looking at it in ways of where, hey, my wife is complaining, I'll use relationships. My wife's, and this one's happened to me, Tim, my wife's complaining about me not spending enough quality time with her, right? And I'm like, okay, how am I going to fit this in? We're doing multiple businesses, consulting, all the things that we do. And then, how am I going to get everything else I need to do? So what I started looking at was a different solution. And so what I started to do was teach my wife to play tennis, right? So now I'm getting activity, quality time, my competitive nature, et cetera. So I was finding an alternate solution that wasn't there previous. Because previous to that, I was doing tennis, playing tennis, or doing some other sport. Then I would have my quality time with my wife differently. Like they're separate boxes, so to speak. But looking at through this type of a lens, I was able to combine those things and see something that I wouldn't have seen before and previously. And you can do this in every area, right? Health, right? A lot of us business leaders, I was talking to a guy yesterday, a good friend of mine, and he's running a really high tech company. And thank goodness, this year he was almost bankrupt, and now he's poised to crush it in the tech space. And it's amazing to hear. And one of the things we talked about is how business leaders often go out of shape. How often they become out of shape, how often they get stressed and anxious. And so I was asking him, I said, hey man, are you falling back into that bucket? Are you falling back into that trap? Because he's been through that before with another company he had. And, what can you do to check those boxes? What can you do to check those things? So he's going back, and ironically, I didn't think about this, but he's going back to compete in tennis. Like he's like, I want to get in competitive shape. I want to compete in tennis. I'm taking an hour and a half a day out of my work week, which is crazy for a CEO and owner of a startup at his level, right? They're at the 8-figure level, right? Which is good, for where he was, especially going from bankrupt to 8 figures in COVID times. And then he's also taking this time out during the day, which is crazy to him, but he's doing competitive tennis, and it's bleeding over into every area of his life, right? His health is getting better. He's filling a soul with that competitive nature that comes out there. And by becoming more active, obviously, you've got endorphins and all these things. And he's met a girl, right? He's met a girl who's hoping is going to be his partner, his life partner. They've hit it off. It's kind of the idea that is she quarantine worthy? And apparently she's proving out to be. So it's those slight mind shifts is what I love. And this whole idea of the baskets, one, Tim, I'd love to sit down with you and chew this over more. But guys, I'd invite you to, again, grab your journal and look at that picture and look at the 5 territories that we talk about here at The Powerful Man. We got self, right? Health, wealth, relationships, and business. There are 5 territories that you want all dialed in, right? They're all going to fluctuate, but you want those dialed in. Where in those 5 territories can you come up with your own version of the baskets, right? Solve multiple problems, right? Thinking outside the box, to use an overused term, but we get what it means, right? Where can you find that time and those areas to make those micro changes? Because again, when I look at those baskets, I literally get excited as a business consultant because I think it's just friggin' brilliant. And I think it solves 3 problems right away. It was such a subtle change, and when you look at infrastructure, everything else that's involved, it's so subtle, right? They're going to have to buy baskets anyway. Hey, Jim, order half black, half red. And, we'll have Larry go over and get to the sign shop. Not a big deal. Easy to train staff. When you see red baskets, go talk to them. You see black baskets, maybe smile and walk away. I just think it's friggin' brilliant.
Staff are going to be happier as well.
Staff's going to be happier. Retention's going to be better. Ticket sales are going to go up, right? Because you're going to know who wants help. I know Tim Matthews wants help. Tim's more likely to come into my retail place if he knows he can get what he wants efficiently and right away rather than going to Amazon, right? I shop almost exclusively online, Tim, because all day I'm dealing with business leaders. I'm talking all the day to these guys. And so when I go out I don't want small talk, right? I've got a close group of friends I love talking to. I don't get to spend enough time with them. And I just don't like small talk. I just don't want to engage in it. Just yesterday I was getting coffee and the woman's like, "What do you do for work?"
Oh God.
It's like, but she was sweet. She was like 19, right? And you're waiting for your coffee. It's these things I was telling you about. We have these coffee kiosks. Yeah. So you're in your car, you're waiting, and Darcy's here, who Tim, my wife, and they want lattes, and so I got to wait for them to make the latte. So now I'm in it's not a big deal, but it's like a 10-minute conversation with this 19-year-old girl about what I do for work. And how do you describe that? And it was just, what I'm thinking.
A few minutes in, you're both thinking, "Oh, I wish I'd never asked." She's thinking that, and you're thinking, "Oh, that as well."
Well, let me tell you how to run this coffee business a little bit more efficiently. Because 10 minutes, but there's, again, these are just kind of, I love the thought process that went into whatever boardroom, office space, Zoom meeting. Maybe it's one person that came with this idea. I don't know. I just love the creativity and the thought process that went into the basket idea. And I truly believe it's that kind of thought process we can put into our everyday lives in every category. And as men, we are so multifaceted. Not that women aren't, but I think men, we get pigeonholed in the media to not be multifaceted. And I think we can take this multifaceted approach and we look at the 5 territories and we look at them regularly. So we don't slip down the curve, right? And we're able to, when we take care of ourselves and make these shifts, right, that's going to bleed over to our business and that's going to bleed over into our relationships. And look, guys, if your relationship isn't working, your business isn't working either. It may be working for now, but it's not going to work long-term. Right? We've seen thousands of business leaders running companies that are 6 figures all the way up into 10 figures, right? That's the same formula. It happens. If your health is going bad, your business and your relationships will suffer, right? It's just the way it works. You don't just wear different categories into life. You are one solid man, one solid human, and that all comes together.
For sure. It all rises together. And the thing that I love as well about this is, by default, if you're going to take up this practice and be in this mindset, it says something about how you're operating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For sure.
100%. And are you working in your business or on your business? And, there's a reason for every season, right? We're all working in our business at one point or another throughout the day or what have you, or throughout the year. There's shifts. But something like this person stepped out. I could talk about this basket thing all day, by the way. This person stepped out of the normal thinking, right? The normal rudimentary, hey, we just need more shopping carts, or we need more of these, or we need to move the aisles a few inches, or we need to put more candy bars at the front of the aisles because that's where Tim's going to go. Whatever it is, we need. They thought differently about the problem, and differently about the solution. And man, I'd love to be a fly on the wall and be involved in that conversation, because those are the kind of conversations in business that light me up. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that before this goes on to a 6-hour podcast where I talk about how brilliant this basket
lose all
idea
the
was.
listeners. They'll be like, we get it, Doug. We get it. We get it.
Yeah.
But do you really get it? Have you applied it? Where can you? What are the results?
Exactly. Well, that's the difference, right?
Let us know.
This person did it. A lot of people talk a big game. How many people take action? And, you and I talk about this. We see this with the men in the program, right? The difference between the men that go through our program and the men that talk about it or make excuses is the guys that go through the program are guys that take action, right? They're the guys that are literally they're the guys that come up with this basket concept in their business because they're taking action in multiple areas. If you're not taking action in your relationships, you're not going to take action in your business hardcore. You're just not. You will temporarily, maybe, but long-term, you're not. It's going to fade, right? You're going to hit the ceiling. Same thing. If you're not taking action in, your business, you might not be doing it in relationships or your health, right? These things all bleed together and they're going to catch up to you sooner than later, right? So today is the day. So guys, I'm going to invite you for probably the 5th time today in this podcast is grab that image, right? Just go over, grab the image. You could probably Google it. If not, I threw it up on LinkedIn and Facebook. Easy to find, super easy. And you can look at it, right? And it's probably not going to be as impressive to you as it was to me. But what I'm going to invite you to do is look at the areas of your life, the 5 territories, write them down. Again, it's self, health, wealth, relationships, business. Where is your little tweak? The little tweak that you can make, right? Just like the little tweak in your golf swing that when you do it, gets the ball from slicing to going straight towards the hole. Where's that little tweak you can make? And then I invite you to take massive action immediately. Massive action. Just freaking do it. Tim, anything else you want to leave these guys with?
Nope. I think
Awesome.
you've driven that point home.
Well, gentlemen, as always, if this is your first time listening to us, thanks for making it this far through. And we'd love it if you would go ahead and share it with a friend. You can also go over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus, pick up a free training. Check it out. Check out some of the stuff that we do. It's free. There's no strings attached. Try it. See if it works for you. See if it applies to your life as well. And if it does, then maybe that's something you want to jump in. Tons of free resources over there, as always. And if you've been listening to the show for a while and you've made it this far, please leave us an honest review about it in iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're getting this, YouTube. And we'd love to hear from you guys. So guys, take care. Make an amazing, amazing week. And we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.